Aha.
So you wanted me to find the function?
No. I want you to find the answer. So, I mean,
Okay.
if I put something in a function, what comes out is the y piece of the point, and I plot that point. So if I had a function
Oh.
that goes through the point 1, 2, f of 1 must be 2, because that's where I put the point, where the point was put. So when I give you the graph, I'm giving you all the answers. If I gave you the function, you got to plug that shit in and actually do the work yourself. The graph, somebody else already did the work.
So it's just, okay, so I did that right, I just didn't do the notation right.
Okay, sure, you're going to lose points if you don't tell me the answer. The answer would be whatever that output is.
Yeah, I put the output, but the way I wrote it is what it said wrong. So that's why I'm trying to reiterate, how are we supposed to write this in order for it to be correct?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That's one, so it's just that.
No, what's the answer to this question? What's the answer? 2.
Okay.
The answer can't be a point. A function doesn't have an output of a point as an output of a y piece. Yeah.
Oh, got you.
I like
Okay.
it. I like it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And with domain and range, you got to use the brackets, right?
Yeah, if they're not open circles, you got to use the brackets to mean you include them. I like it.
Sorry.
I have a question about the domain range. How would you, I was kind of confused on how to find that in the graph.
So, domain deals with what letter? And so what axis in that case?
The x-axis.
Yeah, so if this is my function here, my domain would be -4 to 3. Now, kind of going along with your question, if I put an open circle here, if I want to be really evil, the domain would be -4 to 3, include the 3, but don't include the -4. Because the -4 doesn't have an output? No. So really, the domain is all the x's that have an output, and the range are all those outputs. Yes? Yes, the range, it's always, anytime you write interval notation, it's always small to big. Smaller to bigger, right? So if you write 7 comma -2, that doesn't make any sense. Right? Who can come in here? Anybody who's 30 all the way to 11. Wait, what the shit? 11 to 30, okay, that's, right? So it's small comma big. Okay, thanks.
So like saying from 3 to 1.
Yeah, that's insane. A little insane.
Gotcha.
I know nowadays you can be much more insane.
Monkeys.
Anything else from the quiz? Are you guys all right with the rest of it? Yes.
I'm mad at myself.
2A.
Then 2C.
So every problem in number 2 was a substitution problem. Function notation really is just substitution. So if I give you a function, h of x is 3x squared minus 9, let's say, or something. Right? And I say, what is h of 2? But this, do you see how this is not h times 2? And I am not saying that 2 equals, no, h of 2. So h of x is 3x squared minus 9. So what's h of 2? 3 times 2 squared minus 9. It's really just substitution. This is a rule. This rule says, what do I do to x? I do this stuff to it. All right, let me put a 2 in there. All right, this is what h does to something.
All right.
Nobody noticed that too. So then 3 times 2 squared minus 9. And then you just do that. Now, something that got me really sad is I had way too many people getting a 6 out of that somehow. 6 squared. I don't see 2 6s. I see 1 3 and 2 2s. What's order operations say? What comes first, multiplication or exponents? Exponents. So this would be 3 times 4. 12 minus 9 equals 3. So nobody had this problem, and everybody had this problem. So that's everybody's in that number 2. Everybody. Now there was one, now watch this. This is even kind of sillier in a sense. And right now you have no idea why you'd have to be able to do this. But if h of x is 3x squared minus 9, what is h of m? 3m squared minus 9. You guys see that? It doesn't, the idea can't change. Whatever's here, I put in there. That's the idea. It doesn't care what's in there. Whatever's in there. So, you know, h of m is 3m squared minus 9. What's h of Jeff? 3 times Jeff squared. Little Picasso Jeff. Minus 9. Whatever the shit you put in there. This is a rule. It says, what does it do to whatever's in there? This is what it does to whatever's in there. Does everybody see that? That's how number, what was it, 2? Number 2 works, yeah. I had way too many people doing this. All right, somebody help me out. What is wrong with this? You ready? You ready? All right, now what? I'm not calling anybody out by name, so you just keep it yourself that you made this mistake. But oops. At this level, you shouldn't be making this kind of mistake. Division, can it kill part of it as subtraction?
No.
Well, hell no. Like this division bar kind of like breaks it up into top problem, bottom problem. So what is it supposed to be? 5 sevenths, yeah. But somehow people were killing this.
Yeah, that was murder she wrote,
All right. I like it. Okay. Anything else from the quiz? Anything else from there? Some of you guys did you graphed the lines in number 3. You graphed some lines, but you didn't give me an answer. And that's the new thing. So you lost like half the points in that. That last one was worth 14 points because you had a lot to do. So if you lost 7 points because you didn't give me an answer, that's half the points. That's like the most important part. Okay, maybe. All right, anything else with the quiz? Put that aside. Then we can get into
due before our test tomorrow.
to do tomorrow. If you want to get as many points back as possible. You can always give me stuff late, but the amount of points you get goes down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll never get less than what you got in the first place. Yes.
The last quiz corrections are due tomorrow too, right?
Yeah.
For credit.
We had 2 quizzes? Yeah, whatever quiz we had before a test is due on the day of that test. Exactly.
We're writing on a different piece of paper, right?
Yeah, either on the back or another sheet of paper. Don't change the original.
Okay.
Yeah. You got like a couple of things you can do it on the same page. Just make it really clear what the correction is. I like it. Be nice to your grader. It's probably in general a good idea. Your grader is me, by the way. I don't hire anybody to do that shit. Yes. Number 1? About? Oh. Well, we'll talk about that very first thing. Right? On the quiz? Okay. Turn that radio down a bit in your head.
Sorry, the people in there are talking loud today.
Alright. So we did this earlier. If I give you a function, you can just plug stuff in to see what the outputs are. So you got to do work. If I give you a graph, let's say this goes through that point, then I know all the answers. So if this was f of x, this function, and I said, what is f of negative 2? Well, I know what it is, because I know where they put the point. For an input of negative 2, what's the output? 3. That's it. Yeah. Because, I mean, if I had a function, I'd put something in, I could plot that point. Well, I have a collection of points, that means I have a collection of answers. They give me all the answers, that's awesome. I like it. Okay. So now we can open it up. If you still have questions, of course, you can still ask. But we can go to the practice test. I think a few more people came in. Anybody else need a copy of that practice test? Huh? Oh yeah. Anybody else not get their quiz back?
What units are gonna be tested tomorrow? I was sick,
Oh,
so
can we
it's not.
push in? Let's see. Yeah. Oh, what are we going through? This is section 3.5. If I remember correctly, because the first test went through 3.4. So this is 3.5 through 9.2. I made the 9.3 section. You don't have to do that yet. We're going to do that for the next test, the matrix stuff. I'm going to push that off to the next test. Cool? So 3.5 through 9.2. It sounds like a lot, but we went from chapter 4 to chapter 9. So thank God. All right. So now we got the practice test. I got a couple that I didn't do on the key that I want to do on the board with you guys, but anything you want to start off with, specifically or in general?
But you said you had a key to this?
Yeah, like just like the last time. That's what makes it really useful. Hopefully.
So you're not going to grade it?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, man.
I got real tests to grade. Practice tests? I ain't got time.
Right? I thought you were going to get like...
I gotta let you grade it yourself because I'm gonna
Bonus
give you the
points
key, dude. Oh, bonus points.
and stuff.
That's funny. It's just like my dad when I said, "What do I get for mowing the lawn?" He said, "You get dinner." I'm like, "Oh shit."
You got your reward, Bill.
I was like, "I always used to get dinner." He's like, "Not anymore, boy." Yes.
Can we do another word problem?
Yeah, yeah. Are you looking at one on the practice test? Or?
Yeah.
All right. The one I want to do, actually 12A, I started and didn't finish on the key. So let's look at both of these. Yeah. 12A on the practice test.
Thank you.
Take a minute, if you haven't tried 12A out yet, try to set up the two equations. This is a problem where the equations kind of set themselves up, I'm hoping. Each sentence basically is an equation, just about. 12A. Let me catch up. What's the first equation you guys have written?
2b plus 3b.
2b plus 3e
Equals 2.96.
equals 2.9011. In this case, what did P and E, what do they represent? What about them?
How many?
No? I know how many. 2 pencils. Yes, the costs. So P and E costs of pencils. What's the second sentence that I can convert into an equation?
3e plus e equals 3.30.
Cool. And now you can do whatever you like. You can use substitution, you can use elimination. You could even use graphing. I don't know why you want to try to graph this by hand. So, what method do you feel like using? Elimination? Okay. I think on the key I started doing substitution. We can do elimination up here. Who's going to work today? Let's see. So many varieties. So if I want to use elimination, what's the easiest letter to kill? E. Because I got a 1 right here. Do you see how that relates to the matrix stuff? I know you don't have to worry about it yet, but when I see a 1, that's awesome. I can use it to kill everybody else. So I want to rewrite my first equation. What do I want to multiply the second one by?
3.
Negative 3. I like it. So negative 9p minus 3e. 330 times negative 3?
Negative 9.
Cool, you guys? Just like a normal word problem, once you get the equation, or in this case equation, set up, the rest should be easy. Negative 7p equals that. So then I get what? I get p is 1. What does that mean? Does that mean 1 pencil? No, it means
$1.
$1 per pencil, 11. So am I done?
Now you get
No,
No,
shit.
erasers.
Erasers. And I got this one equation that's got
Or erasers are 30 cents.
E is almost by itself already, right? It doesn't matter which equation you pick, but just put that 1 back in for P in one of these, and then solve for E. So like you said, when I put a 1 in here, subtract 3, I get erasers is 30 cents.
Where are you buying new pencils and erasers from? That's expensive.
Huh?
You can get a whole pack of pencils for like $1.
The eraser's this big.
Oh, okay.
The pencil writes by itself. You just have to tell it. Some Harry Potter shit. Yes?
I was gonna say, could you redo that? I was looking down. What you
That's
did
a
there.
bad decision. Which part? Sorry, you mean just...
Erasers, just your eraser.
Oh, okay, so P is 1. So that means in either one of these, I chose this one to put a 1 in, because I know P is 1. And I can solve for E, so I subtracted 3. I got 0.3, that's 30 cents. Once you know one letter, you plug it back in, and you can get the other letter. And of course, if you have 3 letters, then I would take both of those letters and plug it back in the original, but that's not this one yet. That's the next problem, 12b. Should have 3, I think, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, pennies, dimes, and quarters. So go ahead and try to set that one up. 12b.
James got it.
I love it. Musical Tourette's. I'm sorry. Could be worse. Could be worse. I have math Tourette's. I love it.
Forgot my practice test now.
You want what? You want the practice test?
Yeah.
All right, let me see. Try to catch up to you. So here we got pennies, dimes, quarters. So the first equation you can write comes from the very first sentence. No. What variables do I want to use?
P, D, Q.
P, D, Q. And what do they represent?
Pennies, dimes, quarters.
What about them?
They all equal up to 15.
True, but these represent the number of pennies, dimes, and quarters, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's important to realize. You really care. Like that last problem, it wasn't number of erasers, it was cost per eraser. So you don't want to get to the end and misinterpret the number and lose points. That sucks. So yeah, so P plus D plus Q has to be 15. We got 15 total coins. What about the total value of the coins? It's 273. We did one like this before where we didn't have to use decimals. Each penny is worth how many cents? I love it.
One.
You guys are like,
0.01.
I've never seen it. Yeah, you could either do 0.01, or I could do 1 times P. Each dime is 10. So why don't I multiply? Because it's 10 cents per dime. So I multiply by how many dimes to get how much money that those dimes contributed. And of course each quarter is, and I'm writing cents, cents, cents. So on this side I better put cents. So $2.73 is how many cents? 273. I love it. So then I can just kind of cut to the chase and get rid of my decimals. Nothing wrong with putting 0.01, 0.10, 0.25 equals 2.73. But then you multiply by 100, hopefully to kill those decimals. And then what's the last thing I can set up? It's more direct. The number of pennies and dimes added together. How do I write that? P plus D is, the number of penny dimes added together is 5 less than the number of quarters.
Be minus 5.
Kick ass. Oh, I gave you one, that's right, I forgot about this. I gave you one more relationship we don't really need. I always forget about it.
D equal to P minus 1.
Yeah. So let me put that over here. We don't really, why do I not need this?
Because it doesn't have Q in it.
No.
Oh, because it's already equaled out. Right.
How many things do I not know?
3.
How many equations have I already written?
3.
Okay.
Oh.
I like it. So I think I just threw, I wasn't even paying attention. I just
So
kept putting
if
stuff
we
in.
put that in, wouldn't that be able to substitute the idea of having D? as a
Totally. You
variable
could use this
completely?
one instead of one of these. So I was waiting to see if anybody wanted to say that.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I want to show you something. So what you could do, but let's do this. That was just one extra equation I didn't need to give you. So I'm just going to throw that one out. Because these are the ones I wanted to give you. I could, now, see this last one, how the Q's on the wrong side? And then I could start killing letters and shit, right? Alright, right? I could subtract the Q over, and then I could kill the P's twice, or whatever. You with me? That's the standard textbook way to do things. I want to see if you guys can start to realize, I know what P plus D is. What is it? Q minus 5. Look at the first equation. What can I put right here? What is P plus D?
Q minus 5.
And then keep
Plus
going.
Q equals negative 15.
15. What? Negative.
So that means Q is 10.
Do you guys see that? Now again, if you don't see that on a problem, does that mean you don't know what you're doing or whatever? No, you can. It's little shortcuts if you happen to notice them. If you don't, who cares? You could bring the Q over, and then it's just a standard pick a letter, kill it twice. We always got that to fall back on. But this is really nice. There's a bit of a shortcut here, and like you said, this becomes 2Q at the 5. Q is 10. So I got 10 quarters. Now it's, what do I do with that?
Plug it back in.
Where?
Put Q in the bottom one.
The real answer is everywhere. If I plug 10 for Q here and here, won't I have two equations with just P and D in them? Did you guys see that? So this, anytime you do a shortcut, things are going to be different. You're not going to, it's not the textbook way anymore, right? If you want me to, we'll do this the textbook way. Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, so this is probably not the same thing, but I learned this like a couple of years back. Whenever we were doing like substitution, we would always make each equation, like if we had 3 equations, we'd make each equation equal one of the variables. And then substitute it out until we got the answer.
Yeah, you can do that if it doesn't make fractions, or if you're cool with working with a bunch of fractions. Right? Okay. But anyway, all right. So let me finish this out, and then we'll try to do it by the book way, so you can see what that looks like. So what does this first equation become then? If I put Q equal to 10 in, subtract 10, I get P plus D equals 5. Is that cool? P plus D equals 5. Should we write that better? And what's the second equation come from? If I make Q10, that's 250, subtract 250, you get 23 here. So then P plus 10D equals 23. If I put a 10 there, that's 250. Subtract 250, I get 23 over there. Now between those two, what can you kill? Whatever you want. I'd kill the P, because all I got to do to the first one is do what? If I want to kill the P.
Does this problem actually work out?
Multiply by -1. Let's find out. So what do you get now? Negative P minus D equals -5. I get 9D equals 18. So I get D is 2. So now I know D is 2, I know Q is 10. And now I just got to plug a 2 in there for D. I know what D is. I can plug it in there and see what P is. So P plus 2 is 5, so P must be 3. So then you got 3 pennies, 2 dimes, 10 quarters.
Is that how you would want to start the answer? Is that how you would want us to write the answer?
Yeah, you got to tell me, if and you know by now, if you just put 3, I'm going to beat it.
Yeah.
Right? 3 shares, 3 miles. Yeah, so tell me what they are. How's that? Is you guys all right? Now, real quick, here's sort of how it would look like. I mean, we should be really familiar with this by the book method. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's this. Sorry. Let's see what this will do for me. You got purple stuff, Sunny D. Sunny D. Sorry. Before your time.
So it's not healthy for you.
Back in the 80s, they wanted us to believe it. Sunny D and Chipotle. Oh, yeah. It was a long time, like a month. Okay. Nice. So, the by the book way would say, take this last equation and bring the Q over. Ooh. I subtract the Q over. And now I could kill, for example, I could kill the Q's if I wanted to, or I could kill the P's. That would be relatively easy. Right? So I can multiply this one by -1, and then just add it to both of these. I'll get 2 equations with no P's in them. No? Yes? No? So if I take number 1, multiply it by -1. Now I can just add it one at a time to both of these. Normally I have to multiply by -1, then multiply by -2 to kill the other one. Here, everybody has a 1 coefficient on that sucker. That's beautiful. So that plus that. So I can do 1 plus 2. So I get 0, 9D, 24Q equals 258, I think. Yeah. And then if I take this and add it to this guy, -1 times 1 plus 3, I'll get 0, 0, -2Q equals -20. Q equals 10. Hey. Isn't that cool? You guys see that? These died, these died, -2Q, -20, yeah. No, yes, maybe. So even doing it that way, the shortcut kind of comes in and helps you. So now I know Q, so I can go back here and figure out what D is, and then I gotta go back up here and figure out what P is.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you're right.
Yeah, it just sucks.
What's up? What?
Yeah, it just sucks. It's long. It's just like the bookkeeping is hard to keep track of.
I know. Once you get, the funny thing is, it's really hard to believe me when I say that the matrix stuff we started getting into makes this easier. But mostly it's just, you're not used to matrices. So you got to first get used to them. But then that process makes this stuff a lot quicker. This is just gross trying to keep track of everything. There's just so much to write.
There's so many different directions you can go to.
True, but the thing that will keep you gotta be, I know I can't say this too much, but I know I don't write too well, but I am pretty neat. I do try to keep track of what the shit things are. Bookkeeping is what kills people on these problems. You forgot where something came from, you've got pieces just all over the place. Pizzas are great. I'm hungry. Is that all right? Is that all right? You guys all right?
Yeah.
No, yes? Okay.
So are we gonna have a matrix problem on the test?
What?
No.
Are we gonna have a matrix problem test? No. So they're gonna be on. So that homework is due the day of the next test, after this one tomorrow. On the next test, we'll have a matrix problem. I like it. What else do we need to talk about? Sorry. I just love the looks like it sometimes. Anything, yeah, anything related to this next test?
10C.
10? Oh, okay, so 10, this is a lot like that problem from the quiz. Well, let's see, who's going to work for me? You work, I think. So one level thing to get over is, I think most everybody got this. It's really clear about, like in part A, what am I doing in part A, 10A? Putting 10 where?
In the place of it.
In place of x in the f function. I mean, I'm kind of happy that most of us are like, well, of course in the f function, that's what it freaking says. Right? But it's very clear about which thing to use. Now, I did throw a square root problem here. I'm sorry about that, but just see if everybody knows how to do that. So there, is it very cool? I put a 10 in place of x. And then 3 times 10 is 30 minus 5 is, and what's the square root of 25? Because what are you asking yourself for square root? What does it take 2 of to multiply to be this thing? I like it.
Yeah.
And then b is the same thing. You put a 2 in place of x, but in the h function. So it'll be 2 times 2 squared minus 7. Then you work that out. So look at this. Really, the result of this should be that. That is the result of this. Here's another way to read this. The function evaluated at 10 is 5. So I can't divide by 10. That doesn't make any sense. This doesn't say f times 10. This says f, when you plug 10 in, gives you 5. There's no division by 10 then. Yeah.
Is that how you have to write the answer? Or you
This is the best way. If you did this and just did this, I'm happy because I can follow f10 is 5. You are basically saying that. But I had people putting on the thing 10 equals 5 and circling that. I'm like, what? I can't do any math to make this true. You owe me $10,000. Well, now it's $5,000. Because 10 is 5. My student. Yes.
What about for the same number 10, about problem that f? C.
Yeah, let's look at C first.
Oh, yeah.
So if f of 10 meant put a 10 in for f in place of x. F of A means put an A in place of x. So what's f of A is just going to be square root of 3 times A minus 5. Done. It's almost nicer when there's a letter in it because that means I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to do much work.
Just assume that you're doing something different when you're not.
So f of x is this, right? Whatever I put here goes there. So whatever I put there goes there. If it's a number, I've got to do stuff.
Okay.
If it's ain't a number, I can't do stuff. I just stop. And I know part of it sometimes feels like, that can't be right. But that's what's weird about the problem is stop. Because you can't do shit. But yeah, one other question over here, before I come over here. The domain of g of x. What's the problem with g of x? Does it have a problem spot? What kind of, when you put g of 6, what kind of number comes out of that? You did g of 6 in part D. When you plug a number in, what kind of number comes out?
Negative.
A whole number,
Oh, fraction.
a fraction. And what can't happen in a fraction? The bottom can't be 0. What would make the bottom 0?
4.
No, 4
Negative
makes
4.
it 8. Negative 4. So what's the domain of this? Everything except, because negative 4 makes it not have an output. What's the domain? Every x value that has an output. Well, what's the only value that has no output? Negative 4 makes it undefined. So what's the domain? Everything except that. You can even just say that in English. Everything except negative 4, Jeff. Now here's the real thing that will get you through more complicated functions you're going to learn later. In English, the bottom can't be 0. There's the English. Translate, believe it or not. Looks more like Egyptian hieroglyphs. Translate that into Mathish. Bottom, x plus 4. Can't be, not equal to. 0, solve it. How do you solve that? Just subtract 4. So that, what's it say now? X can't be negative 4, done, next. So if you can say in English what the problem is, and then translate that into Mathish, solve it, done, next. Because we're going to have other functions that I'm going to ask the domains for. You do the same thing.
If we just put bottom can be 0, would we get points?
Oh my God, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. So if you just stop here,
You told us we could. Lies, Jeff.
what did I say you could
You
do?
said we could say it
I
in
said you
English.
could get to the answer. Now, what can you do? And if you're okay with losing points, anything. Yeah, math boy, that was fun. All right, I'm sorry. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. What's over here? Somebody had a question. Good. Yes.
Can we go over 4A and B?
Oh, okay. What are the two main line equations that we know? Man, this thing just immediately goes bad. Yeah, y equals mx plus b. I like it. And what are the parts of that? When am I allowed to kind of use that directly? When I know what?
Slope.
Slope and
The line.
Yeah, y.
y-intercept. I like it. Okay. So if I know those two things, I can use that one. Or if I have something in that form, I know those two things. What's the other one?
Y-intercept 4.
Y2 minus Y1.
Oh.
It did come from the slope equation. It is basically the slope equation. We just multiplied the bottom up and made it into a line equation. So this one I can use when I know the slope and any point. Doesn't have to be the y-intercept. Okay, so looking at this problem, it says find the equation of the line that goes through the points something something. I don't know, what was it?
-1,
Negative 1, 4.
and 0, 5.
0, 5. What's nice about that one?
It already has a 0. So
So it's the what? What's
The
5? It's the
y-intercept.
value of,
The y-intercept.
so the value is b. I like it. So I'm going to use that first frickin' equation. I'm going to use this shit. This is a lot of shit. Right? Still got to be able to do it, but hell, if I got a choice, yeah. So, but I can only use this one directly if I have the y-intercept. And I do. What's the only thing I'm missing? Slope. And of course, how do you find the slope?
put in 4, you know.
Formula.
Y2 minus 1.
So 5 minus 4 over. I see this too much. What's wrong there? What did I do wrong?
So this is going to be a 0. Oh.
0 minus,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be minus negative 1, which of course becomes,
Positive
so the slope is.
1.
So now I got everything I need. I know m is 1. I know b is 5. Just got to plug this shit in and write it. So y equals x plus 5. Done. Slope I know is 1. The b part from the y-intercept is 5. You guys all right? What's up? Would it be wrong to use this one? No. You just come out with the same answer. Let's try it.
Just a longer process.
Yes. So y minus, let's do this guy. y minus the y piece equals m times x minus -1. Y minus 4 equals x plus 1. Add the 4, you get x plus 5. Of course you do. Yes?
May I be excused?
Yeah.
Gracias.
You might want. De nada. Is that cool? Yes? And then I think that was the first problem. What about the second problem? What's the idea to use there? What's true about perpendicular lines? If you know one slope, if you knew the slope of one line was 1/7, what's the perpendicular line slope? Slope of one line is 1/7. What's the perpendicular line? -7. You totally change it. Flip it and change the sign. Kick ass. So the problem on this one is, you know your line is perpendicular to that given line. So what do I have to figure out about that given line? The slope. And can you just tell the slope right now the way it's written? Yeah, well, let's see, what was it again? Y.
Y plus 4x equals 2.
So you subtract the 4x, so you get it into mx plus b form. So this guy's slope is -4, so what's my slope?
4.
Huh?
1/4.
1/4. I like to change the sign, flip it. So my slope is 1/4. I'm going through what point? 9, -2. So you just, so you just throw stuff in here quick. 9, -2. So now you just throw stuff in. So there are forms of equations for these things. The lines are very regimented. They're very controlled. So it makes sense if I know a couple things about them, I just throw them in the standard form. Every line has to basically look the same. There's just some of them that have just been turned around, right? So that's why this one form works for all lines. There's one form of an equation for all circles. There's one form of an equation for all parabolas, right? Does that make sense? For a circle, what do you think? For a line, I got a slope and a point. What do I have to know for a circle? Center and radius. Those two things show up in the equation for the circle, if you put it in the right form. We're not going to worry about circles right now, don't worry. It's not going to pop up. So here I would do y minus -2, so it becomes plus, equals m, which was 1/4, x minus 9. Now this is a beautiful problem. You have to work with fractions a little bit, but come on. Right? Subtract 2, LCD. Yes, no, maybe so? Subtract 2, LCD. What did I do? I think I got it wrong with that. I like that. Let's see if past Jeff got it wrong. Yeah, I did. Yeah. You guys can have fun with that. So it should be -17/4. Somehow I got -13/4. Oh. I'm averaging about a 97 on my answer keys. It's pretty good. Let me go ahead and give you this answer key. I'm going to have a bunch of emails saying, can you scan the answer key and send it to me? No. Don't feel like it. Come to class. know if you think I made those mistakes.
The reason why it's not solution is because it doesn't intersect.
Yeah, they're parallel, so they're never going to have a place to intersect. Can you tell two lines are parallel from a graph? If I just give you a graph, can you tell me for sure they're parallel? So there we go. Are those parallel? You're wrong. They meet like 1,000 miles that way. Maybe this slope is 1 and this slope is 0.999999. So what do you really have to know they're parallel? You have to know the slopes are the same. So you have to know the slopes. You can't just do it a quick visual. What about perpendicular? Perpendicular does not mean not parallel. Perpendicular means what specifically?
Exactly.
Yeah, which means they meet at a 90-degree angle. So just because they intersect doesn't mean they're perpendicular. So there's a whole bunch of freaking lines that are not perpendicular or parallel. They just happen to meet at not 90-degree angles. You guys with me? Yes? Okay. Now what's really neat, I don't know, just if I have a line here, the marker is parallel to that line, right? So here's where you can see how defining parallel to mean that they never meet isn't good enough. Because if I do this, they're not parallel anymore, are they? But do they ever meet? No. So these are called skew lines. When you get a third dimension. But that's enough. So really parallel lines, it's much better to say they're always the same distance apart. That's actually a better general rule. But since we're only living in 2D, they never meet is good enough for us right now. Again, you want to be really careful. If you didn't try the practice test out at all, maybe don't even look at this. Because it'll be really easy to look and, oh, I didn't even do number 9 at all. I'm evil. Let's do number 9. But you don't want to look at this and say, oh yeah, I would have done that. Build false confidence. So let's look at number 9 real quick. No idea why I skipped that. So 9a, is that a function? And how can you tell? Or actually, let's start with domain and range. 9a. This is interesting. People get a little confused with this, but remember, what's domain mean? All the x values that have outputs. So, for example, does an x value of 5 have an output for 9a? No, there's no freaking point with 5. So what's the only x values that have outputs? 4? Negative 2? 1. So I'm just listing individual values, not interval notation. What does interval notation mean? Everything between two given things. An infinite number. No, there's only 3. Shit. What about the range? Here's where it gets kind of funny. What's the range?
3 and 6.
Good. You don't say 366, right? Like, who went with you? Bob went with me. Oh, Bob went with me. Oh yeah, Bob went with me. Like, shit, just say, oh, holy shit, are you feeling right? Just say 6 once. Is it a function?
No.
Why?
Because there's more.
Is there any x that goes to more than one output?
Yeah.
Which one?
No.
Yeah, it's a function. 4 only goes to 3. Negative 2 only goes to 6. 1 only goes to 6. That's a function. So when it's in this form, in this 9 form, you just look for repeated x values. Like 9b, why is that not a function?
Because one has 2 outputs.
1 goes to 2 and 1 goes to 7. So if I'm like at 1 a.m. this morning, where were you, sir? 2nd Avenue and 7th Avenue. Same time. It's a weird night. It's like, whoa, teach me. Shit. Yes, maybe. Okay. What's the domain and range for B? So we already know not a function. It's not a function. What's the domain?
1 and negative 3.
And? 2. What's the range? 2, 4, negative 3, 7. That's a nice thing about set notation. You don't have to have them in order. Just plop them on down there. I like it. Don't worry, if you're ready for the test, you really don't have to sit here, right? I see some of you guys kind of considering leaving. Stay here if you have questions.
I have a question on homework.
Yeah.
The last one, the 9.2 on number 23. It's a word problem.
Oh yeah, the basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball gym. So total of 90 points. So you got to give variable names to what? What is it we don't know? You can just look at the question and see that. So it says how many shots of each kind were made. It took 2-pointers, 3-pointers, and foul shots, which are 1-pointers. So you can just give those variable names. So the 1-pointer, whatever you want to call it. F for foul shot. But then you got a 2-pointer and a 3-pointer. So you just give them names. So